The Greek government has questioned the sincerity of EU Commission chief who blamed Athens for the breakdown of bailout talks with Greece. Government spokesman Gabriel Sakalaridis said without sincerity, one cannot talk of good faith and reliability. He made the comments after Jean-Claude Juncker said that the EU feels betrayed by what he described as Athens' egotism in the crisis talks.
It's not a game of bluff. There are no winners and losers. Either we're all winners or we're all losers. So I'm particularly sad by what Europe saw last Saturday. In one night, Europe suffered a major blow and goodwill was thrown into the wind. Egotism, tactical games, populist games took precedence over other aspects, and after all my efforts and the efforts made by the Commission and by other institutions involved in the process.
Jean-Claude Juncker said that the EU does not deserve the current criticism by Greeks. He said the EU proposals to Greece were no stupid austerity package. Juncker added that the proposals contained no wage or pension cuts, despite Athens itself agreeing that its pension system needs reform. He added that Greece unexpectedly left the talks at the worst moments while everyone was pushing for a deal. Juncker further stressed that a Greece exit from the Eurozone is not an option, urging the Greek people to vote yes to the referendum planned for the weekend. Athens wants people to vote whether to accept the latest proposals by the EU. This comes as Greece has only one day before a deadline for the payment of bailout loans to the International Monetary Fund. Mark Thornton is professor at Auburn University, joining us from Alabama. Mark Thornton, so here we have it. You're looking at a referendum, even though the deadline is tomorrow. Now, what happens if this referendum doesn't reach the minimum 40%? Where will the situation then be headed after that?
Well, the current Greek government does not want to pay the debts of past Greek governments. It cannot pay off those debts, and it will not pay off those debts. So in the meantime, the European Central Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and the Eurogroup have been lending money to Greece in order to pay off the loans to European banks. And the European Central Bank has been providing liquidity to the Greek banking system. So it's just as much Europe kicking the can down the road as it is the Greek government. Obviously, Greece needs reforms, but ultimately there's going to be a default on these loans, and most of that money will not be paid back. And so it looks like Greece is headed for removal from the Eurozone and possibly the EU.
Now, when you look at the 5 years that these loans have been taken out and then paid back, why should the Greek government, as you said, well, you said that they're not going to be able to repay the loans, nor do they want to repay loans from the old governments. But in 5 years, not much has improved in the economy of Greece as a whole. You know, the unemployment still remains very high, and the economy hasn't really shown any real strength. Isn't this whole thing with the loan, therefore, not working after 5 years? We're not seeing any real improvements in the Greek economy?
That's correct. The loans are not working. The extension of credit is not working. It was this credit, hundreds of billions of dollars from European banks, that got Greece into a bubble economy, which saw their GDP expand very, very rapidly and then crash, losing a significant amount over the last several years. So loans were actually the problem. Loans are not the solution, and ultimately we're going to find out that in the end.
Mark Thornton, professor at Auburn University. Thank you.